الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام الأتمان المتلازمان على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه الغر الميامين. أما بعد، فقال الله عز وجل في كتابه المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: والذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها وأنابوا إلى الله لهم البشرى فبشر العباد الذين يستمعون القول ويتبعون أحسنه أولئك الذين هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب. And those who shun the worship of false gods, turning to Allah alone, will have good news. So give good news to my servants, O Prophet. Those who listen to what is being said, the qawl, the word. Those who listen to the word and follow the best of it. These are the ones, or they are the ones who are rightly guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those are the truly people of reason. Dear respected brothers and sisters behind the veil, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We humbly, from the bottom of our hearts, welcome you to tonight's event in remembrance of Syed Al-Jeelani, commonly referred to as Gyarweeh Shareef. Know that Gyarweeh Shareef really is the remembrance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a celebration of Mawlid of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For he would hold every 11th of the month an event where he would invite guests all from all walks of life, especially the poor, the students, those who are travelers, invite them over dinner and celebrate first with those who are needy, and then celebrate sort of as an open invitation. But that practice of Sayyidina Al-Jeelani on the 11th of every month, especially in the month of Rabi'ul Awwal, became a trademark, and people would remember Sayyidina Al-Jeelani outside of his prowess as a leader, a spiritual leader, a teacher, a scholar, and one who is a murabbi, one who gives the tarbiyah in terms of spirituality, in terms of raising them as good, practicing Muslims who know about Islam, not just somebody who is adhering to Islam out of the spiritual part of it, but attaching spirituality with the knowledge of Islam, producing great men and women of Islam who went out to become great leaders in their communities. Today, the silsila, the tariqah of Syed Al-Jeelani is spread throughout the earth. In Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in the Balkans, in Southeast Asia, in Central Asia, all from that practice that he did, was teaching people and bringing them towards the right understanding of our faith, and also focusing on the spiritual side of things. Quite often we find people of our faith who are focusing on just the practice and neglecting the spiritual side. But it is the Sufism, the science of the tasawwuf, which really combines these two sciences. The science of the tasawwuf, which is the ruhaniya, the spirituality, and the other aspect, obviously, the knowledge of Islam. And without these two, one cannot be a perfect example of a follower of our Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obviously, we have combined that with the event of Qawwali. Within Islam, within Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, there are differences of opinions. And I'm not going to make a big speech tonight, because obviously we are also here for the great group of Farid Ayaz and his family and his team, who are mashallah world renowned. And they've been doing this not just from their own practice and training, but this is something that they have learned through generations, their forefathers. So they come from a very highly regarded pedigree in Sima, in Qawwali. May Allah protect them, preserve them, and allow them to continue this great work of spirituality that and especially using this talent of theirs. So, for those who are practicing Muslims, understand that Qawwali, while it has difference of opinion amongst the Muslims. There are those who take the evidences from Quran and Sunnah to prohibit it as music not being something that is permissible in Islam. And there are other scholars within Islam who actually take the evidences from Quran and Sunnah and give us evidences that this is actually permissible. So there is sort of a gap in understanding. While they are both under the realm of Islam, so we respect both opinions. But we say that those who neglect or reject Qawwali or music in Islam, we respect their opinion, but we do not follow their opinion. We follow the opinion of the scholars who actually have provided to us evidences from Quran and Sunnah, from the seerah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that this is permissible. And very quickly, I'll give you just a couple of hadiths and inshallah wrap this talk. First off, you look at the seerah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And before that, the verse that I had the privilege of reciting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَالَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلِ. And so some scholars actually have used this particular verse. Al-Qawl really is referring to the good word, a good guidance, an advice, some words of wisdom. And so what the scholars have said or derived from this verse, that obviously the mufassirin, those who perform the exegesis of Quran al-Kareem, they have helped us understand that this qawl that they're referring to in the Quran al-Kareem is the Quran al-Kareem, meaning the verse of Quran. Obviously that is the primary source. But through the knowledge of Quran al-Kareem, we understand that this comes from Quran al-Kareem, but all the wisdom that we gain from Islam, all the wisdom that we have from Ahadith, all the wisdom that we get from Rasulullah's teachings, and the Ahlul Bayt, and the Ashab al-Kiram, and the Awliya Allah, and the scholars of Islam, all those advice that are stemming from Quran, all of them then would be wrapped up in the same context of qawl. So it is the verses of Quran, it is the ahadith, and it is the good advice that we get from our deen, all that is qawl. And qawwali really comes from the word qawl. So qawwali is the expression of that advice, the expression of the great position and rank of those great men and women who have passed before us, who spent their lives in the teachings of Quran and Sunnah, who have been role models for the ummah, both in the Arabian Peninsula and in Asia and elsewhere. So that is important. And then when you go to the seerah of Sayyidina Rasulullah, Sittana Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, it is narrated that in her house, when Rasulullah was resting and or sleeping, they entered and they requested that they would like to celebrate the Eid that they were celebrating. And so they came along with daf. Daf is the instrument that is used, unlike tabla, but only with one-sided leather that they would use as percussion to enhance their expressions of singing. So they would come in the house, in the hujra of Sayyidina Aisha, they would come and they would sing. And they would use the daf to enhance their sound. Now this is happening in the blessed house of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And obviously, as you know, that the father of Sayyidina Aisha is Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq enters the hujra and he witnesses the singing using the daf as we know it. And the hadith which most people actually use to prohibit music or qawwali, we would use that actually in defense of qawwali. And so Sayyidina Rasulullah was resting and he has his shawl covering himself to the person who's witnessing, knowing that he is sleeping. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr enters and he says, Mazaamir al-Shaytan fi bayti Rasulillah. In an inquisitive manner, he asks Sayyidina Aisha, what are you doing, in other words? Are we going to have the instruments of shaitan in the house of the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So at that expression, at that outburst, those two girls who were from the Ansar, they stopped out of fear, obviously. And at that very moment, so understand, just to again give you the picture. So here these little young girls were singing, celebrating, using dove, and singing along, and Sayyidina Aisha Siddiqa is there, and Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there, observing it. Perhaps he's sleeping, he's resting, but I'm sure he was not oblivious to what was going on. Because when Sayyidina Abu Bakr then has that outburst, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then takes the shawl off his head, and he says, allow them, let them continue, Ya Abu Bakr. Let them celebrate, Ya Abu Bakr. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has now given us the permissibility to celebrate. And obviously, a Muslim celebration does not involve free mixing of men and women, does not involve alcohol, does not involve lahw la'ab, whims and desires. There is no immoral activity going on. What are Muslim celebrations? It is with respect. It is with dignity. It is with the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, zikr of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And so if it involves songs and instruments of music, then so be it, because we have the Sahih Hadith in Tirmidhi where it is found. Now, so the scholars, the Sufi Ikram, took a very beautiful approach to this, accepting every aspect of it. So the fact that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh comes and prohibits or is upset about this musical instrument and the singing, that we say was the basis or the understanding that the tariqah of Naqshbandiya emanated from. Well, they said, okay, in our understanding, we take the act of Sayyidina Abu Bakr. It is not that they are giving preference to the position of Sayyidina Abu Bakr over Sayyidina Rasulullah. That's not the case. But the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in his presence, when Sayyidina Abu Bakr came and had that outburst, he did not correct Sayyidina Abu Bakr in the sense that your expression is wrong. So the fact that Sayyidina Abu Bakr stopped, that is also part of Sunnah. The fact that Sayyidina Abu Bakr stopped or had the angry outburst, that is also part of Sunnah, because that outburst was not rejected. But the fact that then Rasulullah then said, let them continue. So the silsila, the tariqah of Naqshbandiya, their understanding, that we will not have Qawwali in our understanding. And the fact that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was observing and listening to the sounds of music and daf as an expression of celebration, they say, the Sufiya, the ulama, they say that the tariqah, the Suhbardiyya, Qadria are the ones who say, you know what, if it is, we don't say it's haram, period, because Rasulullah allowed it to happen. And so the evidence in Qadria and Suhbardiyya is that we will let it happen. They may not proactively practice Qawwali, but the silsila of Qadriya and the silsila of Suhbardiyya, they do not prohibit it, they do not consider it as haram. And the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then goes on to say, let them continue, Ya Abu Bakr. Let them continue, Ya Abu Bakr. That it is said that the silsila Chishtiya took the evidence from, that they say that Rasulullah permitted it, and so therefore we are now going to use that as a tool of our preaching and celebration of Islamic events in that way. So we have in that same hadith, the same seerah, that same event, three different understandings emanate. And so we respect all those three understandings. However, because most of us who are Qadri and Suhrawardi especially also have the color, the rang of Chishtiya amongst us. And so therefore, we not only find it permissible to celebrate our events of Babi Shareef and Gyarweeh and what have you with Qawwali and music instruments, but we also, not only that, but we also find it as a source of ruhaniyah, as a source of spirituality. And one last thing. People say, oh no, only daf is permissible. The tabla, the two sides is not permissible, or the harmonium is not permissible. There is no specific hadith that Rasulullah prohibits that. And the fact that Mazaamir are used, the term Mazaamir are used to describe that this is haram. Focus on this. The term Mazaamir is what Sayyidina Abu Bakr used. That is, are the Mazaamir of shaitan going to be in the house of Rasulullah? And Rasulullah permitted it. And so therefore, here Sayyidina Abu Bakr was not referring to just the daf. He meant it in general term, that all the Mazaamir. And so daf in Sayyidina Abu Bakr's understanding, would have been part of the list of items that would fit under the term Mazaamir. So it is not just not all the other, and the attempt to sort of single out daf as permissible, we do not understand from this hadith. What we understand, when he referred to daf as Mazaamir, so it is the daf that is considered as Mazaamir, and so is the harmonium, and so is the tabla, and so is the flute, what have you. Because one cannot single out just the daf as permissible. When daf is permissible, then all the other instruments. But the goal, the purpose here is again not to take these instruments for the purpose of lahu al-la'ab, for whimsy, to fulfill one's whims and desires, to dance with free mixing with the opposite gender, and to take one away from the spirituality. Obviously, that is not the intention of this event. That is not the intention of the great brothers who have joined us from Pakistan to sing the Qawwali. That is definitely not the intention. So any Muslim gathering, the whole purpose is the remembrance of our Lord, our Creator, the guiding of people, reminding people of what is good, giving people good advice, and words of wisdom. That is what we get from Qawwali. Anything outside of that is obviously not. Now people use examples of there are women who are singing Qawwali without hijab, or there's all kinds of lahu al-la'ab going on. But if that is going on, remove the lahu al-la'ab. Remove the items that are not permissible. But do not stop the good things that are permissible in Islam. Without taking too long, I would like to wrap my talk here, and I again welcome all of you to this great mahfil. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our mahfil. And again, as our MC mentioned, I'll just reiterate what he said, that help us support American Islamic Society and the Khanqah Quadria Al-Jeelania in our efforts. And the first thing and the best thing one can do is to make dua for us. Because our goal is not Qawwali. Our goal is really to educate people, to bring people to the right understanding of Islam, which is Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and to clarify things that are unfortunately, because of some extremist views that people hold, have been held as mainstream, but that is not mainstream. What we are about is mainstream. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَى سَيِّدِنَا مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَصَحْبِهِ أَجْمَعِينَ.